Want it? We're going to give Bran a little bully make cauldron full of treats, and hopefully he won't pester Scott through this whole recording.
Yeah, it's an experiment. So if you hear chewing, it's him trying to get his treats out of the toy.
Or if the camera goes flying in a second when I throw this across the room. Ready? Watch.
Oh, jeez, you got me.
Oh, you found a treat. Okay.
Okay. Hello, BookTube. I'm Scott.
I'm Nelle.
We are Gunpowder, Fiction, and Plot.
And our dog's name is Brett.
He is a staffy and a brindle-coloured one.
And he's a troublemaker.
We're going to do the Read Like a Librarian tag, which was created by Jen, the librarian. Jen refuses to tag anybody in her tag videos, which makes it very hard for her to create an original tag.
We're going to do it anyway, even though she's contrary.
Yeah. Well, she tagged everybody who wanted to do it. And I wanted to do it. So this is all about, you've got to think like a librarian to answer these questions.
Yes. You should go and watch her original tag video. It is amusing and also an insight.
Yes.
Into the librarian brain.
Oh my God, of course, if you haven't checked out Jen's channel, she is absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
So, yes. What is the genre you read the most but like the least? So, what do you read a lot of but don't really like?
News headlines?
News headlines. I definitely don't like the news. I'm going to answer this with fantasy.
Yeah?
There's something really enjoyable about fantasy, and it's escapist and nice, but it definitely...
When it's bad, it's very, very bad?
Oh, it...
Needs to be more than what it is?
Do you know, it's like going out for a meal and getting dessert, and the dessert is like... Do you remember in the late 90s, every pub had a death by chocolate dessert, which was like a chocolate brownie with chocolate ice cream and chocolate sauce and bits of chocolate and chocolate chips and right?
You're like, ugh.
And it sounds really delicious, and then you start to eat it and you're like,
no, I just feel sick.
I need a drink and another drink and another drink.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, and you're gonna misinterpret this, but I'm gonna say classics. Not because I hate them all the time when I read them, but I think of all the genres I do read, it has the highest failure rate. And when I hate a classic, I think because I want to set fire to it.
Because they've lasted so long, they're quite refined. So the ones that you hate, you really hate. I
really hate.
They're concentrated.
Yeah.
Have you paid attention to when they're published?
No, I don't think there's a huge correlation. I think probably the major correlation is I don't actually like male authors as much as I like female authors in general, and there are more of those in sort of the classic genre. So I think if there's any sort of common factor, that's probably one, but not a hard and fast rule.
I've heard you've said that a few times, and I've seen other booktubers say that. Do you find when you read queer male authors, does that change your point of view?
I don't have a big enough sample size to answer that question.
Okay.
But ask me in 12 months or 2 years and we'll have that discussion.
If you think that male people, if you think that men can't write, do you include...
I think that's you've taken what I've said and...
Yeah, I've generalised it and made it offensive, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you think that men are horrible human beings and should be shot,
then you join the club.
If you think that men can't write, do you apply that to gay men as well, or does the gay experience change that?
Yeah, I would be interested in that.
What book, author, or genre do you wish people would read less? I mean...
I wish people would read less? I wish people would read less diet books. because diet books ultimately invalidate a giant number of bodies that exist in the real world and perpetuate the idea that you can have bad bodies as well as good bodies and are overall toxic and lead to people being treated like shit. So I think they should be burnt in a fire.
Harry Potter,
Yeah.
even without Turfling being horrible, fat phobia, even without that, I'm sick of like, on Facebook I've joined a whole bunch of like groups that are like book club groups, and I'm so sick of like, they should do a Harry Potter book, but this time from the view of Snape. They should
do something new because that's fucking boring.
Stop talking. It's not even that good.
No. And I think when it first came out, it was exciting because it got a whole bunch of adults who weren't readers to read.
Yeah, it popularized the YA genre. It had its place, but...
And I think like every generation has something that kickstarts a bunch of adult readers that weren't previously readers, you know. You had your Harry Potter, you had your Twilight, your 50 Shades is definitely that for, you know, and there will be others, but just because that doesn't make them amazing.
Yeah, it's so over discussed. And to like something like Hunger Games is actually a much better set of books than
much better.
Like just a superior set of writing skills from Suzanne
a more interesting
Collins.
Story and more interesting themes, and I don't remember any fat phobia.
Yeah, so this is actually not a political statement when I say Harry Potter.
Yeah, okay.
Although as a political statement, Harry Potter.
Also true.
What book, author, genre do you wish people would read more? I mean, is it just too easy to say Thomas Hardy to this question?
You only say that because you know Jen's watching.
But Thomas Hardy.
Scott says Thomas Hardy. Nelle says... I feel like poetry.
Poetry?
Yeah. I think that the appreciation for really refined language use is something that needs to be promoted, and I think that reading poetry is a good way to understand some of the techniques used in prose and to highlight what beautiful prose looks like, because poetry is really just fancy prose. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, okay.
I feel like it's a section of reading that allows you to read better.
What fiction book would you recommend to somebody who doesn't read fiction? I mean, this is because what the first thing I would do would be to ask them about movies and, you know, interests.
Freshwater.
You'd go with Freshwater.
Yeah. Like, with the blank wall, you can't ask them questions to tailor it, because that's what the position we're in. You know.
Yeah.
Or they can't, you know, they don't give you any useful information. I think Freshwater is beautifully written, super interesting, very short, which I think if you're trying anything new is an underrated benefit. And it's not some boring white guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good points.
What are you going to pick?
I'm going to pick Slaughterhouse-5.
Ooh, another shorty.
It is short. The reason I pick Slaughterhouse-5 is it's one of these books. It's one of these books that is very clearly literary fiction, that doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be.
It's quite silly.
It's quite silly, and it's very genre bending. It's dystopian, memoir, science fiction, satire. You know,
I would be concerned giving someone who didn't normally read fiction something with that structure.
The unstuck in time structure.
And it jumps around quite a lot. But it's very short and it's got a reason for the non-linear time structure that it explains. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I don't know. I have picked a boring white guy just to upset you, though.
I don't think you could call Kurt Vonnegut boring.
Yeah, okay. What non-fiction book would you recommend to somebody who doesn't read non-fiction? Again, same caveat that you would obviously have to ask them.
Yeah, but I think a memoir is a good gateway into non-fiction.
I'm going to go for The Third Chimpanzee. The Third Chimpanzee details what makes humans human. And it starts with like, what's the difference between us and Neanderthals, and why did we displace Neanderthals, and it takes you to the start of civilization. And I just think that that's a whole bunch of really interesting topics, and if you're not interested in those topics, then you're probably not interested in non-fiction.
I'd probably say A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I'd like to pick a female author, but I can't think of a good memoir that I've actually read.
I can
by
think
a woman.
Of a memoir by an intersex person that I just read.
Yeah. Oh, The Unicorn.
That was terrific, My Life as a Unicorn.
Yeah. But I do think Mandela's autobiography is, particularly for the younger generation, something like I remember apartheid, and our generation remembered what it was like. But well, not what it was like, but it being on the news and and all that sort of thing. But the next generation have no clue, and it was not long ago. So I feel like it's a subject that needs to be more educational. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, most of the kids born today don't.
Yeah, I feel like we could quiz the kids who work for us and they would be like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, some of the things that they don't know is scary.
Yeah, who is Keanu Reeves? I know. 19. Come on.
Doesn't know who the Rolling Stones are.
It's bad.
Or Led Zeppelin. Pink Floyd. That was the band.
Oh, it's just so sad.
What are we up to? 6. This is the last question. You're asked to start a book club, and the members could be anyone of any age or background or interest. What would be your first choice of books?
Got to pick a book club book that can that can appeal to everyone.
Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine.
Oh, that's a good one. That was a good one that we read this year.
Yeah.
Oryx and Craig.
Definitely going for Hammer, aren't you?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Maybe I would be a belligerent book club runner and be like, get on board or get out. But I feel like Oryx and Craig was a super fun story.
So it was. I think it was really good. I think it's a complicated novel that...
I feel like it's got broader appeal than you think.
Yeah, okay. I think, like, if you're picking books for a book club, the question you really should be asking, though, is, are you picking a book for everybody? Or are you picking a book to, like, get rid of the people you don't want to hang out with? Are you picking books for people to be friends with?
filter out the trash.
Yeah.
So I'd want to pick something really queer.
Yeah, like communist gay miners fight for lesbian and trans rights.
Yes.
While being black and disabled.
You know what? Fuck it. We'll just invite a drag queen to read the book.
Yeah.
And then we can pick whatever we want. Yeah, Jujubee can read Oryx and Craig. Oryx and Craig is hilarious, and so is Jujubee. Done. Good match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you picking?
No, Jujubee is reading.
And what book are they reading?
I mean, Alan Oliphant is a bit broad, isn't it? I need to...
Well, if you're filtering, you need to pick a different book.
I quite liked Tender as a Flesh, and I think that would filter people out really quickly.
Yes. And read by Jujubee.
Yeah.
The shade of it all. Yes, excellent.
Yeah. Can you imagine? All right, now we're going to tag people. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different for this tag.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just tagging people I like, well, I'm going to tag people I like, but I'm going to tag people I like that I think will like Jen, and that I think Jen will like
them. So you're setting them up on a date?
Yeah, so this is like a blind date.
A BookTube date.
A BookTube date. And I've completely forgotten who I had.
And you haven't checked anyone's subscribes, I imagine, either.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So these people could already know who Jen is and love her already.
Yeah, if I know that they have definitely subscribed to Jen, I'm not mentioning it.
Okay.
And vice versa. But, yes, I have absolutely no idea if these people subscribe to Jen. But I'm going to tag them in it because...
Because you're a matchmaker.
Right. So if you don't know Jen, she mainly reads LGBT literature, but she also likes classics and just everything. She's a massive Thomas Hardy fan. She likes Jane Austen. She's just... And
she likes books.
She likes books. And she has a very... She has a sense of humour that is...
Enjoyable.
Dry?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Well, we like watching her videos.
We do. So, that's why you should watch Jen. I am going to firstly recommend Courtney Ferreter. So, Courtney, you're tagged in this. Jen, you should watch Courtney because, firstly, Courtney has studied English. She's super smart. She reads lots of nonfiction, but just like everything. And I think you guys would just hit it off.
I feel like the sense of humour is matchy-matchy.
Yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to recommend Sun from Sun and Moon Reads because I watched a video of Sun this morning and she said she got a new job as a librarian. So that's it. Sun is an Australian booktuber who's very new to BookTube.
So she will definitely be able to tell us how to read like a librarian. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, we're tagging librarians in the Read Like
Yay!
a Librarian tag.
Okay, who's next?
Right. I'd like to tag Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's well-spoken. She's considered. And that's a match made in heaven as far as I'm
feel
concerned.
also you and Jen have quite an affinity for book taste. You're very closely matched. And I'm starting to feel that Olivia might be my very close match in book taste. So let's match them up together.
That's I'm also going to tag Sam at Paper Not Books.
She's a legend?
Yep, she's a legend. Sam reads a whole bunch of stuff that I've never ever heard of. She reads books from like I don't know how she finds her books, but like I've never heard of any of her books. So I find that fascinating.
Yes, it is very interesting.
Yeah.
We're done.
We're done.
Bye.
Bye.